Shion, could we talk a moment?
Welcome back, my friendly friends, to more
Hey, do you have time to talk? There's something I need to ask you.
Tales of Arise.
Of course. What's up?
Feral Fiasco here.
It's about the doll I used to have as a little girl. I gave it some more thought, and I still don't remember actually receiving it from anyone.
Oh, yeah.
You were so little. I don't think it's that surprising you've forgotten, is it?
Yeah, but here's the thing. That doll was so old, I'm starting to think I just always had it with me from the start.
That happens.
I know that it's extremely unlikely, but after last time we talked, it got me thinking. Maybe you brought the doll that child made with you to Lenegis.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't be.
Are you saying you didn't? Look, logically speaking, I know it's a lot more likely that you didn't bring it with you than you did. But you can't say for sure you didn't, right? Crazier things have happened. I always thought I'd be alone, only to end up meeting you, and Law, and Rinwell, and Kisara, and Dohalim. Sometimes things happen in life that we never thought possible.
You make a good point. I left everyone and everything I knew behind 300 years ago. But now, I'm not so alone anymore.
Exactly. You crossed all those centuries to find all of us, so...
Why can't a little doll have made the same jump too?
Right? Look, it's up to you to decide if there's any meaning behind all of this. But I choose to think there is.
Why not?
Yeah, I think so too. There's something beautiful about the whole thing that simply can't be denied.
I think it's time we go to sleep.
That's awesome. Okay. I mean, they do acknowledge that it's not super duper likely, but it could be the case.
Morning. Ready to head out?
I don't want to sell. So as you just saw, even though it was only for like a split second, we did do quite a lot. Orange gels. Oh, I'm selling. Oh my gosh. But we did do a metric ton of fishing. And then we got a whole bunch of new fishing stuff. And I now understand quite a bit how to fish. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to say that if for lemon gels. Well, I think let's get enough for 4 of these. And let's get... Whoa, don't want to do that. 3 treats. And as you can see, we're already losing a lot of time on this. But yes, we spent a lot of time fishing. We're level 48 now.
Could never be too prepared.
And with Kisara's
Did we have to spend so much?
we actually have the EXP boost medium thanks to Kisara. And then when you not thanks to Kisara, but when you make it with Kisara, it lasts for 15 minutes. So we definitely took advantage of that in order to gain a lot of levels. And plus, the enemies here are like the thingamabob is a level 54. So we were able to get a lot out of that. Alright. These assault bees, less useful.
Where are you going?
Obviously, we're just gonna annihilate these things really quickly, but... Oh, okay, I'm like, what is she doing? But we have it set to auto. I should probably take it off that, though. Yeah, that's fine. No reason for us to not completely demolish them. What are they weak to? Okay, they're not weak to anything. They're just susceptible to flying, but... I should probably put Law or Dohalim in at some point, but... they'll be fine. Oh, and I think fairly certain we killed that thingamabob too. The very first gigantic enemy. Or giant enemy. Renis Olma. But yeah, we killed that one way back in Balsif's castle. Is this not where the fight is?
This cavern is surprisingly big. Not to mention nice and cool too.
The way the light from the glowing stones reflects in the water, it almost feels like a dream.
What, this damp and slimy place? Are we looking at the same thing?
Alright, definitely don't want to fight them. I thought this was going to lead us directly into the battle. But, since that's not the case, whoa. Alright.
Looks like it could be worth something.
Definitely did not mean to keep getting into battles. We're trying to fight. Come on now. Fogwall Limestone Caverns, a maze of tunnels accessible via the lake and Shinefall Woods. Inner Sanctum, that's what we want to hear. Oh.
We should be able to cook here.
Huh, fast travel point added. Well, that's... If I'd known about this place, we would have had a lot more effective grinding, because I was leaving and coming out every single time. Oh, we can also, yes, let's rest. We can do so for free and maintain our horse meat buff. So, or horse sashimi buff.
Alphen, do you understand what's on the line here?
What?
The fish, Alphen. With all these Zoogles around, nobody can give them a good home. Namely, my stomach.
Well...
Shion, we can't rush this. If there's a big-time Zoogle waiting for us, we've got to be prepared.
You've got a point.
We can't let some dumb Zoogle beat us. Not with these fish at stake.
I'm pretty sure we're all in it to win it here.
Yeah, see? Oh, and we can chat somebody else up. Let's do Rinwell.
Rinwell, mind if we chat a little?
We probably talk to her the least.
You're still awake?
I've always been something of a night owl. Ever since back when I was someone's property. Turning in for the night only made the next day come quicker. I wasn't in any great rush.
Sorry.
What about yourself? Care to share something from before I knew you? You were part of a mage clan, right? Must have been handy being able to rely on magic for everything.
It seems to be mostly
Hardly.
offensive.
In fact, not at all. Magic's not so special when you're not allowed to use it. Always scared of who might be watching?
Right. Sorry about that. I guess I've read too many fairy tales.
We were still made to study it every day. It doesn't make any sense if you think about it, studying the very thing you're being persecuted for.
It's an act of rebellion.
But that's what we did. Just like our parents and their parents before them. Honestly, I don't even know how far back it goes.
It's your culture, too.
If memory serves, mages have been the stuff of legend for ages. Even as far back as 3 centuries ago, they were myths. Your people were persecuted even before the Renans got here.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the less it makes sense, though. I mean, it was astral arts that let the Renans dominate Dana, right? Why didn't mages end up being the rulers of Dana, then?
Maybe they tried, but they just didn't have the numbers. Or maybe domination just wasn't something they were interested in.
Could be.
Have you ever considered it might have been something like that?
I guess I haven't.
I wonder why magic alone attracted the attention it did. Swords can be just as lethal in the right hands. Why not ban them?
My best guess? Swordsmanship can be learned by anyone. Magic's more of an exclusive club.
True.
So, you either have the gift or you don't. When something's not easily obtainable, it's hard to comprehend. People are scared of what they don't understand. And fear leads to persecution.
Very true.
So the problem's not magic. It could just as easily have been anything.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to
Night, everyone.
give Rinwell any comfort, but Alphen's not incorrect. Like, if only silver-haired people could use magic, then they'd have been killing silver-haired people. This is it? Well, I say that, but this thing might end up being ridiculously
That's
strong.
no ordinary stray there.
56, Undine drop. But even so...
So this...
He's the one who polluted the pond.
Consider
Nope.
this payback for all those fish.
So this basically is the thing.
Not today!
Alright, honestly, I'd probably just cut that entire fight out. Because we definitely did not win. Where's the, Okay, Berg Volcano, outer area. Alright, so for right now, we're not strong enough. I acknowledge that. I accept that.
You finally made it.
It's time for us to head on to where we were meant to go. Take off in this starship toward Lenegis. Man. We definitely could have taken it, though. Maybe.
Well, it's the moment of truth.
This lady better hold together once we're up in the air.
Law, don't say that. You're going to jinx us.
Speaking of which, Alphen, this bucket of bolts got a name?
A name? You know, I'm not sure she ever had one. I never really thought about it.
Well, after all the trouble we went through to find her, we should give her one, right? I was thinking something like...
Theorize.
Fall Knights.
Oh.
Huh?
It means owl in the ancient tongue. Literally, the one drawn to the skies.
I like it. Sounds perfect for our little escapade.
Not sure I'm completely convinced, but, well, it's as good a name as any. From now on, she'll be known as the Fall Knights.
Okay, people. We have two goals. First, we need to get to Lenegis and make the Renans finally leave Dana alone. And then, we need to figure out the truth behind Shion's thorns and find a way to save her. Sound good? All right, then let's go.
Fall Knights, huh? The one who's drawn to the skies sounds a lot like Arise to me. But is it just me or is this ship looks a lot bigger on the inside? Unless what we're standing in is literally 80% of it. Huh. So far, nobody's died. But I guess we are going to go into outer space. Ooh.
You know, I can still hardly believe it.
Believe what?
I mean, just look at it. The whole of existence, crammed inside a tiny frame.
Now that you mention it, I guess you're right. It does look more like a painting than a living, breathing world.
From up here, all the struggles we've been through feel so insignificant.
Nothing like realizing how small you are to put everything into perspective. Kinda makes the differences between the Renans and the Danans feel pretty small too, huh?
I'm not sure about that one.
How much longer until we reach Lenegis?
There are better ways to use your time than napping. We should take a moment to familiarize ourselves with the facilities on board before arrival.
Good idea. The starship may end up serving as our base of operations once we're down there. Think you'll be all right with the controls?
You mean the one set to automatic pilot? I dare say I'll manage. I'm basically just here to supervise.
In that case, she's all yours.
Alright, so now we get to do...
Everything okay, Shion? You seem a little different.
Different? Like in a bad way different?
No, not at all. You seem more driven lately, like you found a zest for life. It suits you.
A zest for life? Wasn't that the tagline for Zestiria? Still never gonna play that game though. I did not like what little I've experienced of it.
We'll be going to Lenegis soon.
This must feel like a homecoming of sorts to you, huh? What was life on Lenegis like back then? You know, before you came to Dana.
Let's just say, I don't have many happy memories. I've had thorns my whole life, for as long as I can remember. They called it treatment, but in truth, they were just using me as a guinea pig for their research.
You mean, they experimented on you?
Same as you.
That's right. All I was to them was a riddle to solve. They poked and prodded me. trying to figure out what triggered my thorns or changed the form they took. Day in and day out, every single day, one test after another. I'm still surprised they didn't try to dissect me. The look they gave me whenever one of them touched my skin. How could I forget it? Reeling from the pain, like I was a monster or something. Some existence, huh? A blight on any I touched, helplessly complicit in their pain. I thought things couldn't get any worse, but then they did. I started to have nightmares, visions of the coming apocalypse. Is it any wonder I lacked a cheery disposition? Unable to so much as touch another soul. Loneliness was my best friend.
Yeah, I would have sucked.
Sure, I survived, but with the knowledge that one day I'd be swallowed up by oblivion. And that's when it hit me. If I was going to die, then it should mean something. If I have to sacrifice myself to save the world, so be it.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you relive that.
No, it's fine. I'm in a much better place now.
You say it's your destiny to die so that others can live. But why not the other way around? Why shouldn't we be the ones dying to save you?
Are you crazy? Why would you sacrifice your life for...
That's exactly my point. Why should you have to give up your life just because you drew the short straw in the destiny stakes? How is that even right?
It is unfair.
It's that logic that's used to justify slavery, as if some of us were just meant to be sacrificed. This struggle was never about saving only ourselves. But that doesn't mean we have to give up our own lives to save everyone else's either. If we're doing this to protect people, if we're doing this to save the world from destruction, then that has to include saving each other as well.
A world free of sacrifice. That's what you've been fighting for all along, isn't it?
Not just me. We're in this together, remember? This fight is yours too, Xion. If we're going to win, everyone has to win. There can be no room for losers in this fight. Now I see it, the true nature of our struggle.
A victory without losers. But that means that a Danon victory over Rena can't be the end. Do you think we can pull it off?
Realistically, no.
You bet we can pull it off. We have to. It's the only hope we have of things ever changing.
Yeah, you're right. No one's ever changed the future without aiming for the stars. We can do this together.
All right, well, I'm glad to hear her boundless optimism. Now, what do you have to say?
Is something wrong?
No. I was merely thinking how it had been 7 years, that's all.
You mean since you became a lord and left Lenegis? I guess even someone like you can get homesick, huh?
I am as prone to sentimentality as any other. Tell me, though. You too have a history with Lenegis. A traumatic one, no less. This trip will probably mean facing up to some difficult emotions.
We can handle it.
Doesn't that frighten you?
Well, it is a place where I took the lives of countless people. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't thought about it. But I can't keep running forever. The past is what it is. There's no changing that. But the future's what we make it.
I see.
Dohalim?
Forgive me. I was wrong to pry. We have more pressing matters to address. Come back and speak to me when you finish looking around the ship.
So, does he have... So he's got more he wants to say to us then? That's okay. Now, what are the facilities looking like? We got a table with some serving trays, it looks like. Honestly, okay, I didn't say anything about it earlier, but these seats... How are you
I need
supposed...
something to eat.
How are you supposed to use these? I guess they move up and you kind of just lean back into them, but they don't seem comfortable. Alright. What are you guys chatting about? There are 2 for 1.
Hey, Alvin, listen to this! So Law and I were just talking and...
Hey, shut up!
What's got Law all flustered?
Only that he's afraid of flying, the big baby. And after all that fuss he made about naming the ship, too.
Hey, I never said I was scared. I just think it's, you know, a little unsettling how we're going to be cruising through space in a glorified tin can. That's all.
It's a starship, dummy. That's what it's supposed to do. I don't think there's anything strange about it.
I hate
Well,
flying.
maybe you're the one with the problem then.
Guys. I'm no expert, but I think we can trust Renan technology. It got me to Dana in one piece, remember?
Oh, that's a good point. If you think so, Alphen, it must be okay. Don't you agree, Law?
Hard to argue with that, seeing how you hitched a ride in one of these things before, Alphen. It's just wrong, okay?
I can understand definitely being more wanting to hang out on the ground more. So this probably is the what is it? Port and starboard, fore and aft. This is the aft of the ship.
You okay? Feeling airsick?
Actually, now that you mention it, not at all. These starships are a remarkably smooth ride, all things considered. Nothing like being at sea, thank goodness.
Glad to hear it. That device there caught your eye, huh?
I was just wondering what it is. It looks big enough to fit a person inside of it.
That's what Alphen slept in, I guess.
It's a healing pod. It fixes injuries and illnesses.
Oh, you don't say. That should definitely come in handy if any of us get injured while we're down there. Alphen? Was it something I said?
No, I was just thinking back to when I escaped Lenegis, that's all. What with the ceremony and losing control, I was a total mess. Naori laid me inside here.
So, you're saying you got in this thing straight after escaping? But that mean you were inside for 300 years?
Yes, it sounds crazy, I know. But don't even ask me why I stayed asleep all that time.
That's definitely quite some lie-in, all right. But still, whether you meant to or not, I sure am glad that it's this century that you finally woke up in.
What do you mean?
Because then we all...
With the amount of fighting we've done, we would have never made it this far without you. And not only that, but... Alphen, can you recall back to what it is that I said to you? Back when we left Menancia? About the dream of coexistence, and needing to learn what it entailed?
Of course. That's why you came with us, right? To learn what you couldn't at home.
Even in that time, I was well aware that what I was living was a lie. But at the same time, I also felt really compelled to fulfill my brother's wishes. I'll always remember him fondly. But the coexistence we're fighting for isn't for him. It's for people now. And those still to come.
Yep, the future generations.
The world's bigger than just Menancia. My dream is for all Danans, wherever they might be, to be free. If I've learned anything on this journey, it's that. And the one who brought me along was you, Alphen. I'll forever be grateful to you.
Well, we're not out of this forest just yet. You should probably save your thanks. At least, until we've dealt with the Red Woman.
I know. But whatever we find when we get down there, I'm through looking the other way.
Kisara.
Probably getting a little ahead of myself, huh? Let's take things one step at a time.
I wonder what kind of stuff is actually going to be waiting for us down there, because obviously the Renans that are there will probably start attacking us on sight. Or maybe there are some who will be sympathetic to the cause. We shall see. I don't have a lot of faith in that, though. Look at all that stolen astral energy.
Is everyone about ready? We'll soon be making preparations to land.
Before we do that, just what exactly should we expect when we get down there?
Kisara has a point. Now that I think of it, I don't know the first thing about Lenegis.
Good thing we have two
I'd like to
Renans.
hear more too. It's been centuries since I was last there, and they didn't exactly give me the grand tour.
Very well. First and foremost, Lenegis was the base of operations in charge of the crown contest on Dana. Of course, it also happens to be a city in its own right. complete with its own independent society. Its social structure is based on a strict hierarchy. Put simply, the strength of an individual's astral arts carries great weight.
Enough to determine someone's social rank, you mean? But astral arts are innate, right? So people's positions are fixed at birth.
They can be honed with the right training, and there are admittedly other factors at play. But yes, that's basically the gist. As a result, family lines that churn out lords and their contenders wield disproportionate influence, and those lineages are treated as nobility.
Those capable of only weak astral arts are effectively an underclass, denied the right to descend to Dana even if they wanted to.
And the inequality continues.
Still, even the lowest rung on the Renin ladder is considered superior to being a Danon. Keep that in mind down there.
Thanks for the warning. As a lord, Dohalim must have been pretty high up in the pecking order, right? What about you, Shion?
Come on, you've seen her skill with astral arts. You really need to ask?
Fair point.
On arts alone, you're right. I'd have been sitting pretty. But you're forgetting my thorns. They weren't exactly an invitation to high society.
Really?
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's refreshing to be around someone who says what they're thinking. Life's less complicated that way.
Jeez, give backhanded compliments much?
But she probably really
Wait a
does.
second. Are you? He is! Law's blushing!
I am not!
Of course, separating people into castes based on something arbitrary like arts is discrimination at its worst. As if such simplistic criteria could ever be a measure of someone's worth.
So this red woman, are we expecting to find her on Lenegis?
Hopefully she didn't go to
I would wager
Dana.
so. Lenegis is too deeply involved in all this to discard the possibility. Chances are she's also connected to the Renis Alma being stolen from us in Pelegion.
If the Renis Alma is being used to exploit Dana, we need to take it back at all costs.
That red woman's got a lot to answer for. Just as well I've got a ton of questions.
Uh-oh.
We're about to land. The descent could be a little bumpy, so brace yourselves.
If there are clues about your thorns out there, Shion, we'll find them.
So, if Lenegis is a stopgap world between, or is a capital city between Dana and Rena, then maybe things on Rena are worse than we thought? I wonder if there are going to be Zoogles running rampant on Lenegis. Probably not out in the wild like they are on Dana. We haven't been jumped just yet, which is good.
There's no one here. I wasn't expecting a welcome mat, but still.
Lenegis's infrastructure is largely automated. Besides, people won't be expecting incoming traffic while the crown contest is still underway.
True. 3 more years on that.
Do you think anyone realizes that we're here?
We may not have received a royal welcome, but I doubt our entrance went unnoticed. Don't let your guard down.
I really hope we don't have to fight anybody while we're here.
Well, your hope's not going to turn out to be right.
So now what? We've come all this way on a hunch that this red woman is here, right? And if we're lucky, the Renis Alma too. Any idea where we should start looking?
There is an area of the city that is accessible only to the Sovereigns, known as the Forbidden Zone. That seems as good a place as any for us to start.
Forbidden? What are they hiding?
I don't know, hence my desire to find out. Fortunately, we just so happen to have a Sovereign in our midst.
So...
In any case, changing the shape of a huge structure such as Lenegis would have required an immense source of power.
Then you think that source might have been the Renis Alma?
Precisely. Alphen said that he remembered the Renis Alma being used in the spirit channeling ceremony 3 centuries ago. Whatever the ceremony's purpose, If preparations are underway for it to be held once more, then the Renis Alma might be in the same place as last time. Possibly together with the Red Woman.
Dang, dude, without Dohalim, we'd be screwed.
Hiding something of that worth in the residential quarters would only court trouble. In which case...
It stands to reason we should be looking somewhere normally out of bounds. Is that it?
Indeed.
But it's been over 300 years since I was made a sovereign. You can't seriously think I'll be able to waltz right into the place after all this time.
You are still a sovereign.
There's only one way to find out. If there's even a chance you can get us in, I say we give it a shot.
Shion's right. Who knows? We might even find a clue to her thorns while we're at it.
All right. It's not like we're swimming in leads, so let's try to track down the Forbidden Zone.
Okay.
Beyond that wall lies a city full of Renins. The capital city where Shion and Dohalim used to live, no less. Who knows what we'll find on the other side?
So futuristic. Twin worlds, a term used to refer to Dana and Renin together as two parts of a whole. It's rarely used, however, as it erases the hierarchy separating them. And on the other side, we find a world in turmoil. What's going on? Everything's busted. That black starship may have been more of a clue than I thought. Lenegis. Maybe somebody who came here on the black starship demolished a whole bunch of the city.
What in the world?
This being Renin territory, I was prepared for a lot of things to look different. But this is a bit more than I anticipated.
The very foundations of the city have shifted. What could have caused this?
When Lenegis changed shape, it must have had an effect on the interior too.
Maybe when they sent the wedge down to Dana?
But they wouldn't move around the places where people live. These are their homes, right?
I would think the citizens themselves didn't have much say in the matter. Either way, locating the Forbidden Zone just became that much trickier.
Dohalim? Is that you?
Uh-oh, an old buddy of his?
Avakir, I'm glad to see you're well.
So it is you! But why are you here? Shouldn't you be down on Dana participating in the crown contest? And these people!
So you haven't heard what happened on Dana, then?
Heard what?
They're all dead, thanks to us.
Someone you know?
An old friend.
Hey, Dohalim. Don't tell me you've started keeping company with...
They're with me. More importantly, what's happened here?
I'm really not sure. The city's foundations began to shift without warning, and now everything looks like this. We're all waiting for the Sovereign to tell us what's happening, but so far...
Avakir, listen to me. We're looking for the Forbidden Zone. Do you have any idea where we might find it?
The Forbidden Zone? What business could you possibly have there?
Just answer our questions.
The less you know, the better.
You're just the same as ever. I wish I could help, but what with the changed topography, I can barely locate my own home. Let alone the Forbidden Zone.
Very well. It looks like we'll have to find the way there ourselves.
Have you seen Faria yet?
Must be the girl from his flashback.
No.
I see. Well, nothing much has changed with her. If anything, she's probably even more...
I can well imagine.
Why did you come back? You know it can only result in pain for you both.
Dang, Aaron,
I've no doubt of that.
You really are the same as ever. Fine, I understand. Just don't say I didn't warn you. And take care of yourself, okay, Do?
Putting his business all out there. Yeah, what was all that about?
So who's Faria?
Law?
If what Avakir said is true, it would seem the people of Lenegis are being kept in the dark about what's happening down on Dana.
They seem to be just as clueless about what's going on up here in their own world. Despite the fact that it's actually here that the wedge originally came from.
We need more information. Let's talk to the citizens, see what we can find out.
While we're at it, we can ask them about the Red Woman, too.
And don't forget about finding the way to the Forbidden Zone either.
Let's leave the talking to Shion. We can't have a bunch of Danans poking their noses around.
Good idea. I think that's for the best.
Somebody actually...
I shall assist.
You sure?
Being a lord on Lenegis has its advantages.
Right. Then we'll leave it to you two.
Alright. As long as they don't look too closely.
The Danans among us should probably keep our heads down.
What if people freak out?
I shall explain it away by saying I'm leading you.
What are we, dogs?
Basically. Here, anyways. Oh, I guess we can still use her action. In all my years, never have I seen such potent healing arts. Thank you so much for taking the time to help an old woman like me. Fancy parfait recipe.
Everything will be okay now.
I know the basics of healing arts, but my skills pale in comparison.
Do they? Yours are pretty good, though. Especially that cure.
What could be so important? It's worth destroying people's livelihoods and homes in the process.
We'd have to ask the current
It's just
sovereign.
Unbelievable. Uprooting an entire city as if it were mere building blocks. Someone's got an awful lot of questions to answer.
From how it looks, they must be siphoning off astral energy from Dana, and then sending it to Rena.
But why do all this? What for? Surely they can't be using all that energy for the crown contest.
Whatever their purpose, disrupting their siphoning process alone won't be sufficient. Not while we still don't know what their endgame is.
He's right. We need to stop this from happening ever again.
This Forbidden Zone might be where we find some answers, right? So what are we waiting for? Let's get moving!
You heard him. We don't have time to stop and chat. Let's move.
An afterthought.
So, I've been wondering, do you think when Lenegis was built, it was even made with people living here in mind?
I thought it would be.
What do you mean?
Well, none of this happened by coincidence, right? They must have designed it to transform like this. But then, if they knew people were going to live here, you'd think they would have taken that into consideration to avoid all this chaos.
Ordinarily, yes. You'd think so.
She's making a lot of
Trust
sense.
me, as far as we were concerned, Lenegis was our home, nothing more. No one knew about all this. It makes you wonder whether the city was just built on as an afterthought. But if so, to what exactly?
Sorry. That probably sounded weird, huh?
Not at all. Sometimes it takes an outsider's eye to help you notice what you've been missing all along. This place is a mystery, that's for sure. Something tells me we'll find answers where we're going, though.
Yeah, you're right, Shion. I'm sure we will.
The city of Lenegis built on as an afterthought, but no doubt these people have been living here their entire lives, for generations even.
Your lordship. Oh, what a great honor it is to finally meet you.
Simmer down.
I descended to Dana during the last crown contest also. Alas, when the contender I was backing failed to clinch the title, I returned. I witnessed the deaths of so many slaves.
Indeed.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're looking for a woman dressed all in red. Have you seen anyone of that description?
All red, eh? No, I can't say I remember anyone like that. I imagine she'd stand out somewhat, too.
Considering they seem to be wearing all white.
Yeah. What about down on Dana during the crown contest? You didn't see anyone like that hanging around the lord you were serving?
What's with all these questions? I've never seen her, okay? Not recently or otherwise. Why do you want to find her anyway?
We gotta kill her.
Never mind. Forget I asked. Sorry to take up your time.
So he was there 17 years ago, basically, during a crown contest before this one.
Is everything okay? You look a little lost.
Hmm? Oh, yes. I can't seem to find my way home, is all. I was just about to make my umpteenth attempt at a new route.
I was hoping to head this way myself. The situation is a real pain, huh?
I suppose the Sovereign knows best.
Who is the Sovereign?
I daren't stay here too long, though. A lower caste can only linger around these parts for so long before I outstay my welcome.
Ah.
I was hoping to avoid it, but maybe I'll have to go that way after all.
She's trying not to get hate crimed.
You mean you know another way round?
Lord Dohalim Ilkaris! But how? Last I heard, you were in Dana competing in the crown contest.
Yes, strange, isn't it? If you know another route, we'd be grateful if you could tell us.
But of course. Please forgive me. There's a wall that sprung up ahead of here, with what looks to be an entrance in it. I thought maybe it was a passageway between the different quarters, but I've no way of knowing for sure.
It's worth investigating, at least. I shall go and assess the situation. In the meantime, wait for me here. If it looks safe, I'll come and let you know.
You'd really do that for me? A lord troubling himself for someone of my lowly status?
He's past all that.
Our lot in life is of little consequence. We are both Renin, first and foremost.
Oh, why yes, my lord. Thank you.
Okay. We're probably gonna find rogue Zoogles back there. Why'd they show us this passage and then make it so it's inaccessible to us? We gotta go all the way around. Or not. Ha. How are we supposed to get over there? You know what? There's probably more starred people. Yeah, there's one other starred person we haven't spoken to. And it's not going to let us go through there until we talk to them. What's he? Oh, okay. So I thought he was gesturing for upwards, but no, he was definitely gesturing to the side. Everybody's jacked up. That kid's not going to make it.
Oh, dear me. What an unspeakable mess this has all become. Just look at the state of our city. Even the Zoogles have stopped heeding our commands.
So everyone's pets have gone crazy.
What did we do to deserve this?
You really have no clue what might have caused this?
And you don't know what you did to deserve it?
Would that I have. Alas, there was no warning, no prior decree. His Highness must have deemed it unnecessary for us to know. We have no choice but to grin and bear it. But do my eyes deceive me? Could I really be standing in the presence of his lordship, Dohalim of the House Ilkaris? I believed he was on Dana.
You believed correctly. Till a few hours ago.
Your eyes do not deceive you. It is I, one and the same. I have returned to fulfill a special duty, the details of which I cannot divulge.
As your lordship wishes. First Lenegis mutates beyond recognition, now this unexpected visit. The Sovereign's plans are inscrutable indeed. The Ilkaris house has produced a great many lords over the centuries. I shall be praying for your victory in the latest crown contest.
Too little for that, or too little too late for that.
Your good wishes do me an honor.
But, okay, that explains the Zoogles going wild.
Well, we've canvassed the city for information. What do you think?
That we will no doubt run
into.
into.
No one has the faintest idea what's happened to the city after all. They haven't heard the news about the crown contest either.
You'd think that info would easily find its way up here. Has it always been like that?
Not to this extent, which would indicate that something's suppressing the truth, that Lenegis is under some kind of control.
Given everything that's happened to their city, the people here seem weirdly okay with it all.
Because they're hyped up.
Yeah, that one guy even said his Zoogle had stopped listening to him. If that's true, these people are in big trouble.
Everything that happens here is attributed to the Sovereign's will. It's the way people have been conditioned. Their belief runs deep. Nothing happens devoid of a reason. To them, it's all part of the Sovereign's grand plan.
The Sovereign's plan. There is one thing I'm still not sure about. Just who is this person ruling over Lenegis?
The Sovereign, of course. He rules from Rena while presiding over both Rena and Lenegis.
Without the lords or anyone in the middle doing his dirty work? Isn't Rena at least the same size as Dana? That's a pretty big dominion for one person to rule over. I would have thought ruling Lenegis alone would be difficult enough.
Child's play for the
Points you
Sovereign.
make are valid, though I confess I'd never given it much thought before. Here, the Sovereign's total authority is as natural as night turning to day. Come to think of it, I know nothing of the nature of how Rena itself is. Shion, have you ever been... No, forgive me. Have you met or crossed paths with, or even heard of someone who's actually made a visit to the homeland?
To Rena?
No, I haven't.
Neither have I. In which case, I would imagine that... But no, surely not. Can it really be that no citizen of Lenegis has ever been there?
To Rena?
Hold up, what are you getting at, Dohalim?
Assuming what I believe to be correct, it's possible that no one on Lenegis has ever laid eyes on the actual Renan homeworld itself. No one but the Sovereign, that is.
Ha.
But what about trade and communication? There's got to be a flow back and forth, surely.
Not if the Sovereign is imposing his will on Lenegis single-handedly. It could be a one-way street.
But I thought you said that the Sovereign's all the way over on Rena. If that's the case, can he really rule directly over Lenegis from so far away?
Seems so.
What if something were to happen to the city, like now?
I'm beginning to wonder what the nature of this Sovereign even is. Alphen said he was forced into the role, right? Just before the ceremony. But Sovereign is also the title given to the almighty Renan ruler. So which one is it?
Whoever wins the crown contest inherits the throne from his or her predecessor, before becoming ruler over all of Rena and Lenegis. Thereafter, that individual is known as the Sovereign. Though, it would appear that the current ruler has gone silent.
I don't
As
know.
for how Volron factors into all this, at this point, I no longer know what to believe.
3 centuries ago, I became the Sovereign here on Lenegis. No, not just became, I was forced to. Me, a Danon. 300 years later, we cross paths with Volron, who also bears the Sovereign's crest. That's not the only thing we have in common. We both became Sovereign without winning the crown contest.
Do you think Volron was made sovereign for the same reason? Because of that ceremony?
The lies.
I can't say for sure, but it certainly sounds like it.
But that would mean that 2 sovereigns would need to exist at any one time. One whose job it is to rule, and the other for ceremonial purposes. We never did see Volron's body back in Ganeth Haros.
That's what I was saying.
Is a new ceremony underway with Volron at its center this time? Could that be what's causing all this strange activity here?
Wait a second. You don't think Volron and the Red Woman are working together, do you? The ceremony can't go forward without the Renis Alma. The same one that the Red Woman stole.
There's something else the ceremony needs. A maiden. And unless there's another one out there aside from me...
The Red Woman?
Questions, questions, and yet more questions. Ones that it seems will remain unanswered, until we can establish the Sovereign's identity.
If the Forbidden Zone really is off-limits to everyone but the Sovereign, that seems as good a place as any to start. For the sake of liberating Dana, too.
Then it's decided. That's where we need to go.
One of the citizens mentioned a passage that she thought might lead to another section of the city. It could point us in the right direction. Let's go find it.
Okay. Oh. Lenegis' ceremony. Find the entrance to the Forbidden Zone. All this blue light. Can anyone hear me? Please! Someone answer me! What's going on? Why can't I reach anyone? So this is why this area exists. Strawberries. Okay, that's cool.
I didn't realize Renans oppressed their own kind, too.
It's an epidemic.
And yet, weirdly, none of them seem to mind. Am I the only one who finds that strange?
It is the way things have always been, so no one thinks to question it. You have experience in that regard yourself, do you not?
Unquestioning acceptance of your own servitude. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Even so, the quality of life here seems much higher than any Danon city we visited.
By miles.
I used to think it was impossible to build an ideal society without wealth. But I suppose having it doesn't always mean people are treated fairly either.
More to the point, not a single citizen seems to have even heard of the Red Woman.
What if she's not here? What if it turns out we're looking in the wrong place entirely?
The Forbidden Zone.
It's still too early to say anything for sure.
For all we know, she might be able to blend in, move around unnoticed. I say we hold off judgment until we've exhausted every avenue.
The art of conversation, because Xion and Dohalim are killing it.
Tell me, Dohalim, has that skill of yours got a name?
And what skill would this be, pray tell?
You know, when you're talking to people around town. The way they suddenly become putty in your hands.
I'm afraid I don't quite follow.
I do. It's called friendly intimidation.
Oh.
Look imposing and speak in a deep, booming voice, and presto, you'll have people wrapped around your finger in no time.
I would never stoop to such scandalous tricks. Any feelings of intimidation are solely in the eye of the beholder.
So there is a knack to it! How do you learn it? Can anyone do it?
Now you've got me curious. Is there special training to master?
Let's see. An obsession with being elegant is a must. Oh, and it helps to be old-fashioned, too. Bonus points if you speak in a way no one can understand.
So...
If you've a bone to pick with me, it'd be quicker to just come out and say it.
What? They look up to you, that's all. I'm just helping them along.
Hey! What's got into Alvin and Law all of a sudden?
I can barely understand a word they're saying. And what's with the weird poses? Was it something they ate?
I hope you're willing to take the blame for this one.
I wasn't expecting them to take me so seriously. I'll go and have a word with them.
Well, they almost had it. But I like that, though. It shows that there's a turnaround in her relationship with Dohalim. She can be friendly to him. Okay, now all the people who were busted up have moved. Even though there was plenty of space for us to simply walk around them.
With nobody left to run the show, I wonder what the people here are supposed to do.
Flounder?
I mean, they're sovereigns up on the Renan homeworld, and all their lords were sent to Dana.
And are also now dead.
But Dohalim was a lord, right?
Only current acting lords have power. Renan society is quite strict about such matters.
Ah, okay.
Even if the other lords were still around, I doubt they'd be able to do much about the situation.
I wonder what they'd think if they were here to see Lenegis now. Balsuf, Ganabelt, Almadria, and Volron.
They'd probably try to step in and take over. Well, no, they all seem to have reverence for how Renan society operated, so... Except Volron.
Now that I think of it, aside from Dohalim, we know next to nothing about the other lords.
Well, yeah, why would we? To us Danans, they were just enemies we needed to overthrow. Nothing more.
Literally our enslavers.
I know. But seeing Renans in their own city, going about their day-to-day lives, it gets you thinking.
It feels strange to imagine the lords living here too, you mean?
Yeah, a little.
Especially Balsuf.
If you're that curious about them, why not try inquiring with some of the locals? Every lord in their household has their share of supporters here on Lenegis. And luckily for us, the people here are unaware of the events on Dana, which means they should be more inclined to talk to us.
True. If they knew that we killed off their lords, then they'd probably be flinging arts at us from all over the place. Start quest, Renans and their lords. Talk to people who support the lords. Let's see what they gotta say. You want to know which lord I support? Why? Are you out canvassing for someone? I'm with His Excellency Errolcy Teldalis. You probably know him better as Lord Balsuf. I know a lot of people consider him to be a giant brute. Believe me, I realize he can be an aggressive man. What those people don't realize is how much he looks after the members of his house. It's fair to say that House Teldalis doesn't enjoy much esteem. Those of us who serve it will be the first to admit that.
Yes!
But His Excellency always stands up against any who would mean us harm. Of that we can be sure. His efforts in the crown contest aren't only for his family, but to improve the standing of each and every member of his house.
Yes!
I owe so much to His Excellency. I could never dream of serving any other lord. And I'm glad he's friggin' dead. F that guy.
Balsef had it in him to care about someone other than himself? Really?
As long as they were born in the right place, yeah.
A change in position can do much to alter one's perspective.
So even he might have had something he wanted to protect.
At the expense of Danon lives. Again, F that guy. And I'm glad he's dead. Lord Dohalim, you have returned. And I see you've brought aides with you. Do you remember who I am, my lord? Surely you must, yes? Not only do I support House Ilkaris, but more specifically his lordship personally. So much so I've been trying to share my appreciation of his lordship to any who will listen. In fact, I was planning to publish my extensive writings on the subject through this very terminal for all to read and enjoy. But since the lines appear to be cut through the recent tumult, I've been unable to upload them. I know, since you're all here, I'll just read them aloud. There exists a most handsome man, a man who radiates beauty, whose every word, every syllable is divine poetry. He hails from the famed House Ilkaris, and his name, Lord Dohalim. Music is his passion, the arts his great love. The scores of boorish, uncouth men of this land cannot begin to compare to his magnificence. So refined and majestic is his posture, why the mere thought of it brings me to ecstasy. Once he becomes our sovereign, Rena shall bloom anew, ushering in an era of prosperity for our grand civilization. Until that glorious day comes, I shall forever be praying for his victory morning, noon, and night. Well, what do you think, my lord? I poured my whole heart into it, hoping to capture your essence. Wait, I forgot to mention anything about his lordship's love for collecting things. I must take this time while the lines are down to append it. Only then will my masterpiece be complete. Well,
I guess she intended to spread it throughout all of Lenegis then.
Good thing the lines were down so she couldn't.
It almost sounded like she was praising them too.
Maybe there was more to the guy than at first glance.
I shall refrain from commenting.
well, he's like, okay. But she, serious hype man action. You gotta love it. Alright, now who do you support? Well, I never. To think anyone would try to tear me away from House Valkyris.
What?
What do you want? Don't tell me you work for Lord Dohalim or that dreadful Lord Almadria, do you? You don't? Well, don't scare me like that. To answer your question, I come from a family that has served House Valkyris for generations. Indeed, I'm doing all I can to support Lord Ganabelt behind the scenes so that he might emerge victorious. Many think him to be a cruel man, but I insist they're utterly mistaken. Though I won't deny he can be strict, he puts Rena's interests front and center like no one else. Why, he advocates that rather than stay confined to Lenegis, we should get on with colonizing Dana and expand our horizons. Which would have been even more catastrophic for the Danans. That way we will become masters of both worlds and overturn our current minority status on Dana's surface. That is why he seeks to become our next sovereign. Tell me, is there a greater, more noble ambition than that? I think not. The scores of Danans would be slaughtered, dude. It is a pursuit of power for the advancement of all our kind. It is what makes him an exemplary lord, a model above all others. Though I was unable to accompany him myself, my two sons have been blessed with the honor of joining him on the surface, and I hope we killed him, bro. I hope they were slain by our hands. As their father, it fills me with endless pride. Yeah. F Ganabelt, and I'm glad he's dead.
Ganabelt was so horrible to people, yet he was invested in helping Rena succeed. Doesn't that seem just a little inconsistent?
Not even remotely.
I'm perhaps biased in this matter, I admit. However, in my mind, while all lords vie to become the next sovereign, they're also meant to serve as guardians of all of Rena.
It seems like Ganabelt also had people who cared about him till the very end.
So why couldn't he extend that to us Danans?
Exactly. He was willing to kill every single Danan under his sovereignty, under his lordship, if it meant overturning the minority status of the Danans on his world. Seriously, F Ganabelt, and I'm glad he's dead. Sovereign rule. Rules over Lenegis and the Renan homeworld is unclear. Yeah.
This area doesn't look as badly damaged as that other district we went through.
Indeed, the effects of Lenegis's transformation appear to be less pronounced here. Or, viewed another way, this area was simply luckier.
Now, she probably supports Almadria.
Pardon me.
This area falls under the sole jurisdiction of House Kynaris. I must ask you to depart at once. Surely you don't claim to be ignorant of our famed house, ruled over by the esteemed Lord Almadria. If so, I urge you to listen well. In fact, I bid you listen carefully regardless. Have you ever noticed how in the history of Lenegis, only a few women lords have emerged to compete in the crown contest? Many have theories as to why this might be, but Lord Almadria quashed the doubts of any naysayers through sheer might. So there's rampant sexism on Lenegis too? In fact, not only did she usurp her father and previous family master, she also removed her older brother to claim the seat for herself. So she was just slaughtering the boys. She is a woman who stops at nothing to get what she wants, who gives her enemies nary the slightest opening to strike. Truly, Lord Almadria is a woman of talent. No one in all Rena better exemplifies the virtues of our nation's meritocracy. Really? Soon, the age of a glorious woman sovereign reigning over Lenegis shall be upon us at last. So there's never been a female sovereign.
I guess her willingness to stoop to any love came from a survival of the fittest worldview.
And some people here not only shared her belief, but championed it as morally right too.
That doesn't make it true. Too bad they couldn't see through her.
Yeah.
Yeah. F Almadria, glad she's dead. And now this last one, number 5, House Volron supporter.
Ridiculous.
How loathsome. No, I was just reading about Volron. Can I help you?
Okay.
I was always an ardent supporter of Lord Urwagil Hildress myself. Were it not for his sudden death down on the surface, I likely still would be. So they know that Volron died? In my eyes, Lord Urwagil is the true Water Lord. I don't believe for a second that he perished in some accident like they say. Why would they lie about Volron's death? As for how Volron runs Ganeth Harrows, don't get me started. I hear he enslaves not only Danans, but even his fellow Renans. Right, because only one of those things is objectionable to you. We may live in a society where to the victor go the spoils, but his actions go against what we as a people stand for. Besides, just what sort of family line is this House Ignisari of his anyway? I'd never heard of it until he came along, which means they must be among the lowest dregs of society. That such an ignoble lineage could suddenly produce an astral artist capable of ascending to lordship is unheard of. None of it makes any sense, not to mention all of the upheaval around here of late. What is happening to our people?
It seems like the people on Lenegis don't really know much about Volron either.
I remember being quite surprised when the Lord of Ganeth Harrows changed so abruptly.
Huh.
Didn't you have any doubts that something suspicious was going on?
On the contrary. Remember, we Renans are raised to accept everything at face value.
Okay, I was like, we can't move, so they must really want us to see that.
When you think about it, the families of Renan lords must see them differently than the rest of us.
Yeah, despite the brutality they're known for.
They must have had a lot on their shoulders, carrying all the weight and responsibilities of Renan society.
Renans live in a world where strength and power determine their position in the social hierarchy, so they tend to grow up fiercely competitive. But their loyalty to their people is also strong. It's what brings them together against outside forces.
What outside
Nothing
forces?
exemplifies that more than the Lords.
That's what makes them the guardians of all of Rena, so to speak.
Right. It's the same reason Balsif hated my guts, and Ganabelt went after you. Because we're threats to Rena.
Guess that makes you an even bigger oddball than we thought.
So, Alphen, have you gained anything from all of this?
Yeah. I think it's made me realize that the Lords were all people, too.
Get out of here with that.
Balsif and the others, they all had their own circumstances to deal with as they went through life.
Yeah, but still, just because they had loved ones in their lives doesn't mean...
I know. What they did was horrible. I'm not trying to dispute that. But at the same time, they weren't incomprehensible monsters either. They were individuals, just like the rest of us.
No.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is...
You're saying that they weren't bad because they were Renans, or because they were terrible monsters. Even if they did terrible things, they were still just people.
Man.
Rinwell.
Am I wrong?
You are.
Not at all.
You are.
Being a Danan doesn't make you a good person. And being a Renan doesn't make you a bad one. I think that's something we've all seen.
Xion and Dohalim definitely make a good case for it.
And I'm going to keep doing my best to make sure I earn that trust. As a fellow human being above all else.
Look, Rena put into place a system of oppression that enslaved their other worlds for 300 years. Yeah, okay, they themselves were horrible people, but they were also symptoms of a system that produced horrible people like that and then put them in a situation where they could make other people's lives meaningless. So, no, you don't have to be Renan to be bad or be Danan to be good, but the whole Renan system of lording it over Danans has to be completely dismantled.
There's something I just don't get.
What is it?
The crown contest itself has always gone ahead as planned, right?
And atoned for.
In which case, the current sovereign of Rena should be whoever it was that won the previous contest.
With reparations.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, who was it then?
That is a good question.
Hanfried Milgras, the former lord of Cislodia, if memory serves.
Oh.
So then this Hanfried whatchamacallem, he's the current ruler of Rena?
The last I heard, yes. Though, admittedly, I haven't actually seen him since the end of the previous contest.
You're saying that ever since becoming sovereign, he's never actually shown himself on Lenegis?
Dude is definitely
I
dead.
guess over holocom maybe, but not in the flesh. Same thing goes for the sovereign that came before him.
Now that you mention it, I don't recall anyone ever visiting Lenegis from the motherland, sovereign or otherwise.
And that never struck you as a little bit odd?
When you live here, it's as if you're conditioned not to notice all these strange quirks and discrepancies. The question is then, by whom? And to what end?
A new Renis Alma is supposedly created to coincide with every crown contest, meaning each victor is awarded their very own. In other words, if that's true, there should be as many of the things out there as there have been contests.
True, but going on what we witnessed in Pelagian, it didn't look like the sort of thing that could be made to order. But if even the victor's speeches have been part of some grand deception, then where are they? Quite frankly, I'm not even sure what to believe anymore.
It looks like being chosen
You and me
for.
both. Though we are Renan by blood, neither of us even knew that such a thing as a Dark Master Core existed, remember?
With any luck, the Forbidden Zone might give us some answers.
No use standing around here chatting about it then. Let's get a move on.
So, being chosen for the crown contest and winning the crown contest is absolutely not a positive thing. Because I doubt Hanfried Milgras, I doubt that dude is still alive. But even if he is still alive, we'll make sure that we fix that.
Faria.
Varia? Isn't that the person that Avakir guy was...
But why are you here? Wait, don't tell me you've given up on the crown contest and come crawling back home from Dana already.
Now hold on.
Nothing to say? Even though you were willing to kill Tarnigan to secure your position as Lord, you still...
Kill?
I'm here to take care of something. If you wish to continue this conversation, I only ask that you wait until I'm finished.
Oh, of course. You always did prefer to take the coward's way out. Even after 7 years and living on that Danon rock, you haven't changed one bit.
Jeez.
But let me tell you, I haven't changed either. Not a day's gone by the past 7 years that I haven't hated you.
If killing me will bring you peace, then so be it.
Wait!
Dohalim, what the hell are you saying?
First, I have business to take care of. If it's vengeance you seek, I will grant you it. But you must wait. My sins are legion. Let me finish what I came to do. Then you have my word. I will let you do whatever brings you peace.
Bro.
Sure, that's it. Run away like always. You don't even have the courage to die. No wonder you leave it to someone else.
He literally just told you that's not the case.
You're just a coward!
Oh, wow. So what is the red woman's deal? But we gotta find out what Dohalim's deal is first, though, because that was uncalled for.
Dohalim.
You're better than all of them, Dohalim.
I apologize that you had to witness that.
Is it true? What she said about you killing someone?
Each of us have our pasts. I am no exception.
Before, back in Menancia, you mentioned having taken a friend's life over the throne. Is that what she meant?
The mistakes I made there were not my first, and may not be my last. I will say no more.
He doesn't want to talk about it.
Did you mean what you said? About letting her take your life if she wanted to?
She has more right to my life than anyone.
But you can't just...
Whatever happens, I have sworn to put an end to the crown contest, and to ensure continued coexistence in Menancia. I have no intention of expiring before I do so. There are far too many questions I still seek answers to. Besides, you have just as much reason to kill me as she does.
Dohalim!
Forgive me. Some things are best left unsaid.
Dude, he is so awesome. Dohalim is like easily my favorite character. Even if I'm not all that great with him in battle. Residential Zone 16. But yeah. We saw what happened with Tarnigan. Maybe if he was born better, he would have merited living. The ultimate core, said to have been born of the 5 existing master cores, legend tells it is bestowed upon the winner of a crown contest when become the new sovereign. Now where are these rogue civilian park zone? Where are these rogue Zoogles supposed to be hanging out at? Ooh, stuff. Tofu.
What's this thing?
So we can get tofu just out in the wild? Interesting. But that's something new. I wonder, it'd be cool if we could use tofu to substitute for any of the meat dishes. Oh, and also the thing, the Wonder Chef, I don't remember what he's actually called, but the Wonder Chef, he asked us for something like tofu.
This place is beautiful.
Yeah. It must be some sort of rest and leisure area for the locals.
You think? Man, these Renin sure know how to live it up, don't they?
Is something the matter, Dohalim?
Before I went down to Dana, my friends and I, we used to gather at this very spot and play music together.
Tarnigan.
Avakir, Faria, and Tarnagin. That was a lifetime ago now.
Tarnagin. He was the one that Faria mentioned, right?
He was once my dearest, closest friend. As well as Faria's betrothed.
Oh.
Despite Faria's lower class upbringing, she possesses a tremendous talent for music.
So her arts suck.
Entranced by her playing, I helped her overcome her sense of inferiority and introduced her to Tarnagin and Avakir. It was a time of great joy. 4 people bound only by their love of music, with no care for social standing. Only the next song, the next melody.
A friendship based on mutual respect, and a society where everyone is a prisoner to their social class. You really are different, Dohalim.
I suppose it's natural you would see it as strange.
I would have, once. Now, I think the idea of breaking away from society's constraints and choosing your friends based solely on affection is something beautiful that's worth cherishing. Besides, it was that way of looking at the world that laid the foundations for coexistence in Menancia.
Your praise does me too great an honor. I was merely following the wishes of my own heart.
And going against...
And even then, it only lasted until the crown contest began. After that, Tarnagin and I became fierce competitors for the position of Lord.
How old is Dohalim?
Tarnagin had fallen for Faria. By becoming Lord, he aimed to wrest her from her humble origins and raise her to the highest echelons of society. But fate was not so benevolent.
What happened?
Tarnagin was no match for me in combat. On a level playing field, he wouldn't have stood a chance.
So he tried to cheat?
But he was desperate and low on options, and he couldn't stand the thought of defeat.
You mean he resorted to dirty tactics to try to win, right? But then why does Faria think... Wait, don't tell me she doesn't know.
It would tarnish what she thought of him.
How could I tell her? Combined with the trauma of losing her beloved, and by her friend's hand, no less. She would have been devastated.
So instead you let her go on hating you, so she could use that hate as a crutch for her grief?
That's not the same as running away, though.
It is exactly the same. Unable to face the loss of my friend and the burden of my duty. Instead, I decried my fate and looked away from what I'd done. As for what happened after, that you already know.
But if you hadn't become Lord, Menancia wouldn't be what it is now. The Danans there would still be suffering under Renan oppression like before.
Shion's right. What other lord would have treated me as you did? Anyone else and I would have been dead long ago.
Or part of the Gold Dust
You've saved
Cats.
so many people, Dohalim. You saved me. It's thanks to you that I'm here today.
Why is the music so somber?
So, try not to blame yourself. The burden you've placed on your own shoulders is too much for anyone to bear.
Oh, there it is.
Frank as always.
The hopeful beat.
But I shall do my best to heed your advice.
Do you think he'll be all right?
With us at his side, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. He's got Kisara.
It's important to have someone like that.
I didn't realize how difficult it is just to be there for someone.
Sometimes just knowing someone's on your side can be enough. And he knows, Shion. I promise he does.
I hope you're right.
Oh, someone's scoping us out. Avakir, the little snitch. I'm sure he's gonna be eaten.
Alfin.
Yeah?
I never never appreciated until recently just how much you were always there to support me.
It goes both ways. You've helped me keep going more times than I can count.
Maybe, but I still wanted to say thank you.
I see a medic and supply officer over there. If they know you're with me, they'll likely offer their assistance.
Perfect. Do my eyes deceive me, or has my shop been blessed with Lord Dohalim and his servants? Is there anything I can help you with, my lord? So do they have better armor for us? Grape gel restores 2800. Yep, and then the diamond mail is not better, but it is for her. Yeah. Dang, dude, chewed through our money. Oh, well.
You can never be too prepared. But did we have to spend so much?
To make sure that you guys were ready, yes. Oh, bouillabaisse. Heal CP after battle small. And they were not kidding. Alright, we're not gonna save, or not gonna heal just yet, but I will save for the top one. And it looks like this is the way forward. See what treachery Avakir has for us. Ah, a fight.
Lenegis soldiers.
Any way we can avoid fighting them?
Nope.
That all depends on them. Whatever happens, be ready.
Well, that certainly didn't take too much time, but they're also garbage.
Well,
Spearman.
for them not wanting to fight.
Ho! I am Lord Dohalim of Elde Menancia. I command you.
The rest of the city must be erased.
No. Have they been brainwashed too?
Brainwashed or not, if they want to fight, they got one.
Yep. Death. Ooh. And they're using darkness arts. I see.
Ignite!
Yeah, they're... I mean, they're not super tough. Definitely nothing that we gotta worry about. Get some. Alright, and the boost strike. There we go.
In here! I don't even know the word defeat.
Some of this. We completely missed. Alright. I was trying to get him with the tinnitus thing, but that did not end up being the case. We were for sure missing. Nice. Let's actually do... We can actually do Maelstrom here. And the dual Maelstrom, or even the single Maelstrom. Yeah, this should be it for you. Breaking dead.
Those soldiers seem different from the citizens we've come across so far.
Yeah, they weren't big talkers, that's for sure. They just attacked without warning.
They weren't in the least bit fazed by Dohalim's presence either.
Indeed. They seem to recognize us as enemies, nothing more. And yet, traditionally, Lenegis hasn't been high on threats. A few frenzied Zeugles during experiments here and there, but not much else.
Their glazed-over eyes reminded me of the soldiers and slaves we met back in Ganath Haros. The ones in blind devotion to Volron.
I've never seen anything like that here on Lenegis before.
Maybe someone doesn't want us here. and the soldiers are their way of letting us know.
Is Volramen the only one with
What
that
with the Red
power?
Woman, the Sovereign, and Volron, we're starting to develop quite the growing list of adversaries. At least we'll know to keep our wits about us.
Alright, so from here, Lustrous Astral Crystal. Ooh. Whoa. Alright, we will... That's a giant Zoogle, though. Wait, we can't even get over there. Oh, okay, we gotta go this way first. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and go through here and kill everything. That's all gonna be next time, though, so definitely join me then for more Tales of Arise. Bye for now, guys.